So if you guys have seen my video, Gramps Goes to College, you know the title character, Gramps. You know that he's a Christian filmmaker that made his own cinematic universe. But you also know that Gramps, I'll say this in the nicest way I can, isn't really with the times.
Do you want me to look at you while we're talking?
Well, of course.
Then you have to cover up your charms. Did you know that our supply of sodium fluoride is now being provided by China?
I used to think that universities were supposed to teach us how to think. But I'm starting to realize that they're trying to teach us what to think.
Bingo.
Yeah, Father Time is just doing laps around Gramps. That's how far behind he is with the times. Which is a running joke, which would be more funny if you just watched the movie I did, In Gramps' Shoes. But you haven't watched the movie yet, so you don't know why that running joke is funny. Yet. This is technically a sequel to Gramps Goes to College, but this movie came out first. So this is Gramps' writing debut of a movie, so that's really cool. I hope he's really happy with that WGA strike deal. I will say though, I feel like Gramps takes inspiration from his real life experiences, and I don't want to try and armchair psychology this guy. Is that the right saying? I feel like that's not the right saying. And I don't want to try and armchair psychologist this guy. Why does that sound so wrong? But apparently, and I don't know this as a fact, this is an internet rumor. There might be a blog or something out there that I couldn't find. I guess Gramps has a daughter that he hasn't spoken to for over 20 years. Again, I don't know this as a fact, but after watching a few Gramps movies, it is something that does get brought up a lot and usually unprovoked.
Got a daughter down there in Tennessee. I might try it down there even though she won't even talk to me. I just pray that my granddaughter, whom I've never met, turns out just like you.
And this movie is all about Gramps reconnecting with his daughter. Actually, I don't know if reconnecting is the best word. It's more like he comes in and fixes his daughter's life. The opening scene for this movie is the daughter Amy talking to the bank who's about to foreclose on her house.
Mrs. Douglas, if the bank doesn't receive the balance due by the 15th, we have no choice but to foreclose.
I have got 2 kids. What am I supposed to do with them?
That's not really the bank's problem. Is there anything else I can do for you?
I like how the guy at the bank is just yeah, I can't do anything about your house being foreclosed, but is there anything else you need help with? Maybe you need a new checkbook or something? So then she's forced to call Gramps, who gets to be the messiah for her and her family. And just to be clear, this is not his daughter. No, that's what we call an actress, from what I understand. And I'm not going to be making jokes about how Gramps doesn't talk to his daughter, because I do just find that objectively sad. I can't imagine going through that. That being said, and I do not say this as a joke, even though it's going to sound like I'm making a joke, I get why the daughter doesn't want to talk to him. So right before the daughter calls him, Gramps actually is praying that the daughter will reach out to him.
Father in heaven, I've been praying for 20 years that my daughter Amy would come back to you, Lord, and let me into her life again.
And not even 10 minutes later, he gets a call from his daughter, and he answers it, and he's just who the fuck is this?
Hi, it's Amy.
Amy.
Could you imagine if you were God and you're damn, this guy hasn't talked to his daughter in 20 years? She's gonna call him right now.
It's Amy.
Amy.
The fuck? So they come up with a plan that Gramps will move in with her and her family and pay her rent so they can pay the bank back. But there is one thing that they're not sure if Gramps is ready for.
Well, are you really sure you're ready to live in a house filled with imperfect people?
What does that even mean? Yeah, if you're the type of person that's in debt and the bank is about to foreclose on you, that makes you an imperfect person. 2008 really created a lot of imperfect people, if you ask me. So here's where we meet Gramps' grandkids, Sally and Scott. And Scott sucks.
Shut up and listen for a change.
Well, spit it out. I don't have all day to sit here, Mom.
And teach Scott some manners.
And maybe pigs can fly, or 13-year-old girls can learn to shut their mouths.
I feel like Scott's the type of guy that you have to make sure you nail down the board game before playing it, unless you want Monopoly money everywhere. When Gramps gets to the house the next day, he sees Scott and his friends smoking outside, and they look like the dorkiest smokers I have ever seen. And, smoking very bad for you. Don't do it or anything like that. But, I have to admit, you do look sort of cool doing it. I don't know the psychology behind that. But with these guys, man, I'm sorry. Smoking's not going to make you look cool with that haircut. And I don't make fun of people's looks or anything like that, but a hairstyle is something you can change. What he needs to change it to, I do not know, but I can tell you what it shouldn't be. And this friend group just tries so hard to be cool.
Gramps. It rhymes with cramps. That's exactly what he's going to do to my style.
Damn, freaking got him, dude. Gramps is just like, Scott, that rhymes with diddly squat. And that's how much style you have.
What's up with the Black Lung Quartet out front?
I know Scott's gonna do stuff behind my back anyhow. I just figure I'll let him smoke here outside.
Impeccable parenting right there. You know, I'm sure Child Protective Services would completely agree with your reasoning there. Like if I found out my kid was murdering people, of course I would rather them just do it at home.
Do I get a hug first?
Whoa, let's take this relationship thing slow.
Take things slow, yeah, because when I want to take things slow in a relationship, I move in with them before I'm ready to hug them. Yeah, that's common knowledge.
Relationship thing slow.
As you might remember in the first movie, there's a lot of ego stroking for Gramps in these movies. Like in Gramps Goes to College, he beats a bunch of 20-year-olds in sports competitions, chess, and other things. And Gramps in this movie really ups the ante. Instead of going against a bunch of 20-year-olds in sporting competitions, he goes up against a bunch of 16-year-olds.
I think I could beat the four of you in a 2-mile relay.
Relay? You mean we'd each run half a mile and you would run 2 miles?
By George, I think you've got it.
Remember that running joke I said in the beginning? Yeah, Father Time is just doing laps around Gramps. That's how far behind he is with the times. Now you get it. Because they're running.
If I win, you boys give up the smokes. If you win, I'll buy you pizza every Friday night for a month.
Yeah, when you're on an addictive substance, the only thing that could really fix that addiction is pizza. Better come with ranch on the side, that's all I'm saying. But how does Scott feel about this?
How long do you have to put up with that old fool living in your house?
I don't know. Maybe a heart attack wouldn't be such a bad thing.
My God, Scott. I don't say this to a lot of people, but I think you need to find Jesus, Scott. It will be fun. You know, that's actually why kids go Easter egg hunting. To Scott's dismay, Gramps does not have a heart attack and is ready to do the race.
This is a baton.
No, that's the cardboard part of toilet paper. I honestly think there might be leftover toilet paper on that thing. So they start the race, and I'm sure you're expecting a montage of like some workout music that makes you really want to pump some iron. Yeah, they don't do that.
Maybe I'll just walk and beat him.
This is something I would expect to hear after a yoga class, not like during a high-intensity race. Could you imagine if Fast and the Furious used this music? And here's another reason why this movie is just terrible. There are so many scenes of people running that are shot and edited like this. Gramps, it is not interesting to watch people do long distance running with sad piano music in the background. Like, was this movie scored by your pianist from church that only had 20 minutes to score a whole 2-hour movie? So the race continues on, and the whole time Gramps is doing like the whole "are you not entertained?" I don't know, motion in the background. Okay, there's definitely toilet paper still in that baton. Do you see that? So no shock here, Gramps wins the race, and I have to say I was not entertained. But in an actual shock, we find out the mom smokes. Damn, I don't think we're gonna win her over with pizza, but maybe ice cream. So you might find it a little hard to believe that a 65-year-old could beat a bunch of 16-year-olds. And to that, I would say, you gotta remember, Gramps is just built different. After the race with the boys, he does 12 pull-ups, just, cuz. Yes, we only see him do 3 on camera, but, you know, he looks great doing it. And everyone else in the movie agrees because people cannot stop giving this man compliments on how good he looks.
Isn't your grandpa coming in today?
Yeah, but he's older than that.
That old man is bionic. He's a machine. A running machine.
You look a lot younger than I thought you would.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gramps, I'm so surprised you don't get ID'd when you buy booze.
Speaking of which, where are Gramps and Sally?
He took Sally to church with him this evening.
Wait, you're gonna let Gramps take your daughter to church? I thought you hated church. Like, isn't that the whole reason why you guys haven't talked for 20 years? Or is there another reason why you two haven't talked to each other in 20 years? Like, did Gramps not take you to a Wiggles concert back in the day? And this conversation just takes a turn because now the mom wants to go to church, and if Scott doesn't come with her, she's gonna punish him.
What do you want to eat tomorrow? Do you want to eat tomorrow?
You wouldn't.
If you don't want to go to church with us, you don't have to eat with us.
This is blackmail.
I prefer to call it gentle persuasion.
Yeah, gentle persuasion, yet another practice I'm sure Child Protective Services would agree with you on. Come on, Scott, church, they have crackers and wine, so you won't starve. So if the mom's taking this hard of a stance on church, you would imagine that Gramps has been here for a few months now, right?
The old geezer's only been here a couple of days.
Dude, you haven't talked to your dad in 20 years, and after being with him for 3 days, you're now ready to start starving your kid if they don't go to church? Maybe I'm taking this too literal. Like, the mom can't be that serious about this, right?
So there's no way I can get out of this?
Well, it looks like you've been enjoying your omelet. So if you want to worm your way out of this one, I guess we'll just have to pump your stomach to get it back.
Okay, wow. How are you going to approach the doctors? Like, yeah, my son, they need to get his stomach pumped. Yeah, didn't go to church. Like, are you trying to top your own record and have your kids not talk to you for 25 years? So after church, the family's just hanging out, and we discover that Gramps has an arch enemy. You might assume it's the devil, but no, it's something much worse.
You really want to know what I think about Harry Potter?
Yes, Harry frickin' Potter. So Gramps then goes on almost a 4-minute rant on how Harry Potter is the devil's work.
The Bible says that God hates witchcraft. Now, what do you suppose the devil wants to do in that situation?
Well, if the devil wants us to be bad, and witchcraft is bad, then he'd want us to mess around with witchcraft.
Gold star right here for Sally.
Okay, Gramps, listen. Most of us didn't get an acceptance letter into Hogwarts, and, we all just moved past it. Go after Dumbledore for not having, a safe environment for the students, and not that other thing that you don't like because of the Bible, just the school stuff.
When I was a kid, everybody wanted to grow up to be policemen and cowboys and nurses, heroes. Today's kids want to grow up to be witches and warlocks and vampires, oh my.
I'm just imagining Gramps going to Universal Studios and being horrified that people are dressed up as witch and wizards. He's just like, I thought Halloween Horror Nights was just in October. So naturally, after all of this, Gramps and Sally go to get a non-Harry Potter movie, and the mom feels like this is the perfect time to bring up Scott's abusive dad.
I regret some of the choices that I made. Especially when he started to get physical with us.
Okay, yikes. At least this makes Scott open up to his mom.
Life doesn't turn out the way I want it to sometimes.
You remember what that pastor was talking about this morning? He talked about God being in control, and that we have to just turn it over to God and let him be in control.
So this is actually something I just don't fundamentally believe in. Yeah, you can't control everything in your life, but I don't think you should just wait around for things to happen to you. Take some action in your life and, realize that not everything's going to turn out the way you want it to. You can do it. I believe in you. So now we're in the part of the movie where, things just happen. Gramps teaches Scott how to drive while he wears an OG Indians hat. Classic. Then Scott gets a job, which I have to say leads to one of the more weirder scenes in this movie.
I already hired a boy to fill this position, and he was dishonest. Besides, once he got the job, he stopped looking for work.
Yeah, that's sort of what happens when you get a job. You stop looking for a job. Then Scott's friends get busted for trying to sell drugs.
They got busted last night. Charged with possession and intent to distribute. They're toast.
Oh boy, this guy's not going to be able to survive jail with that haircut. inmates are just going to relentlessly tease him. Gramps and Scott then have a heart-to-heart, but there's one thing that goes on throughout this entire 7-minute scene that's a bit distracting. Let me know if you can figure out what it is.
On my mind right now. Why didn't you start to walk through the front door?
Never. In a couple of years, you'll grow up and you'll be out making your own decisions.
I'm sorry, but how do you mess up the sound that bad? So the things that are making all those noises are cicadas. It's also like ironic because cicadas are a super religious animal and they're just fucking up Gramps' scene. But now we have my favorite scene of the movie. We find out that the mom has been dating and is going to bring her boyfriend to dinner, and things slowly go off the rails.
Sense of humor, now I like that.
Well, Peter, in that case, let me tell you that I'm not a really very funny guy.
Yeah, Peter, I'm not a very funny guy. I think the movie Shrek is a comedy. It is a comedy. Oh, it is? I thought it was just porn.
So, Scott, what would you like to talk about?
One of the kids at the high school committed suicide last week.
Dude, what? Yeah, you know, something I would totally bring up during a family gathering.
Any idea why she would take her own life?
Apparently she wasn't happy.
You know what? That's ridiculous. If everybody who wasn't happy took their own lives, the world would be a pretty empty place.
Oh, no, shut up. Who wrote this movie again? Oh. Yeah, that's right. So this leads to everyone talking about like what happiness is, and the boyfriend says, you know, a woman to love, which leads to Scott asking this question.
Well, what if you're a loser with the women?
Like Scott.
Sally.
No, she's right. I'm a loser with the women. In your book, Peter, how can I be happy?
I love how smug Scott is in all this. He's just like, yeah, I suck talking to girls and there's nothing you can do about it. The dinner ends and, you know, I'm just glad the boyfriend didn't start talking about Harry Potter. So in the backdrop of this movie, Scott is trying to become a runner and his ultimate goal is to beat Gramps in a race.
My goal is to beat my 65-year-old grandfather.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's the most authentic reaction to hearing that goal. Scott races Gramps multiple times in this movie and loses terribly, which honestly is really funny. But after one full movie and one montage of Christian music playing, Scott finally beats Gramps.
I did. I finally beat you, old man. How's it feel?
Yeah, you did it. You beat a 65-year-old in a race. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest though, it sort of looks like a tie to me. But I guess it's, you know, nice to see Charlie Brown finally hit the football.
Amy! Amy!
Oh no, the drunk dad is back, and we know he's drunk because he's stumbling all over the place.
You can't stop me.
You want to bet I'm not the little kid that you used to push around anymore in case you hadn't noticed?
What the hell was that? The dad tried to use the attack of loud noises, and it was not effective. Wait, does he have a gun?
Hold on. Leave. Nobody wants you here.
What the hell?
Come back here now!
That's a nice move, Gramps.
Dad?
No!
Get my cross, Sally.
Okay,
don't talk, Gramps, please.
You're gonna be okay. It's alright.
Two promises.
This all would be really sad if I understood what was being said here. And the guy that plays Scott definitely forgot his line because there's about 10 seconds of dead air.
Okay, I'll get him to him, Gramps, I promise. Just please don't quit on us. You always told me not to quit on you, so don't quit on us.
I'm not quitting, Scott. I just reached the finish.
Finish line!
Finish.
So the paramedics get there, but they get there too late, and Gramps dies, even though you can clearly still see him breathing in the final shot. I guess Father Time lapped Gramps for the final time. Yeah, you see what I did there? Yeah, that's what we call a running joke. So in Gramps' will, he gives his running shoes to Scott, so Scott will be able to run in Gramps' shoes. Oh, that's the name of the movie. And Scott puts on those shoes for the big race, and this is the actual music they use for this race. Honestly, I'm just glad it's not piano music. And to everyone's surprise, Scott wins the big race. Man, good job, Scott. Like, what do you want to do now?
I need to organize a protest against the Harry Potter series.
And that was In Gramps' Shoes. Final conclusion, they smell. Man, how did Netflix not pick up this movie at Sundance? I get the feeling that everyone that worked on this movie sort of just let Gramps do whatever he wanted without questioning him once. They were just entranced by Gramps' good looks, I guess. Anyways, that's the end of this video, and as a reminder, please like and subscribe. Click those glowing buttons down there. I know you want to do it. But either or, I will see you on the next one.